She raised her voice and snapped. I'm the one who sets the rules in this relationship. Don't you ever forget that. I just looked at her and said, well, thanks for clearing that up. When the cops later explained to her what the actual law says, she didn't have much left to say. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and last Tuesday I finally realized exactly where I stood in my relationship. After 3 years with Samantha, she's 31. It hit me hard during what should have been a simple talk about weekend plans. We were in the kitchen, and I mentioned that I wanted to swing by my brother's place for his birthday on Saturday. She was at the stove, stirring a pot of sauce, and without even glancing at me she said, no, we're going to my friend's engagement party. Come on, babe, I said, trying to keep it light. I already promised him I'd be there. Can't we do both? Maybe stop by the party for a couple hours after? That's when she dropped the spoon into the pot with a loud clatter, sauce splashing onto the stovetop. She spun around and glared at me. Are you seriously questioning me right now? I'm not questioning you, I told her. I'm just trying to work out a compromise. She marched over, jabbed her finger at my chest and said, listen closely, because I'll only say this once. I make the rules in this relationship. Don't forget it. When I say we're doing something, that's what we're doing. Period. I just stood there staring at her. 3 years together, and she had never spelled it out that plainly before. She'd always been strong-willed, and I brushed it off as her being passionate, knowing what she wanted, being independent. But hearing it so bluntly, I make the rules, was different. Thanks for clarifying, I muttered, and walked out of the kitchen. She shouted after me, saying dinner would be ready in 10 minutes and I'd better be back at the table. Instead, I grabbed my keys, wallet, and phone, got in my car, and drove straight to my buddy Marcus's place. Marcus saw the look on my face, handed me a beer, and didn't even bother asking what was wrong at first. That's the kind of friend he's been since college. After I chugged half the bottle, he finally said, all right, man, you going to tell me what's going on? So I laid it all out for him. Not just what happened that night, but everything leading up to it. How she slowly took control of my money because she was better with finances. How my friends eventually became our friends and then just her friends, since mine were apparently immature. How every family event had to be worked around her schedule, never mine. And how she kept tabs on my phone, saying couples weren't supposed to have secrets. When I finished, Marcus shook his head. Dude, that's not a relationship. That's a dictatorship. Yeah, I said, peeling the label off my bottle. I guess I needed to hear her actually say it out loud to finally believe it. Meanwhile, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 23 texts, 9 missed calls. The messages bounced from angry to worried, then back to angry again. The last one read, if you're not home in 30 minutes, I'm changing the locks. The kicker? It was my apartment. I'd been renting it 2 years before she ever moved in. Her name wasn't on the lease, but somehow she thought she had the right to change my locks. You going back tonight? Marcus asked. Eventually, I said. But not tonight. I crashed on his couch and woke up the next morning to 52 texts, 17 missed calls, and 3 voicemails I didn't even bother listening to. I already knew what they'd say. Instead of heading home, I went straight to work. I got things done, had lunch with a coworker I hadn't talked to in months, because Samantha never liked her, and for the first time in ages I actually felt like myself again. After work, I finally drove back to my apartment. Her car was in the visitor's spot. She never got a resident sticker, because that would have meant putting her name on something official. The lights were on inside. When I walked in, she was sitting on the couch surrounded by tissues. The anger disappeared the moment she saw me. Tears poured down her face. Baby, I was so worried. Where were you? Why didn't you answer me? I just needed some space to think. I told her. Think about what? About us? Are you breaking up with me? I don't know. Maybe. Probably. The tears stopped instantly, like someone flipped a switch. You can't break up with me. Pretty sure I can. No. She stood up, finger pointing right at me again. I decide when this relationship ends, not you. I make the rules, remember? You're right about one thing, I said. You make the rules, but I don't agree to those rules anymore. She actually laughed. You don't get to disagree. That's not how this works. Then I guess it doesn't work, I said flatly. You're being ridiculous. Go take a shower. I'll order Thai food and we'll forget this whole thing ever happened. Samantha, I want you to move out. Excuse me? This is my apartment. You need to find another place to live. You can't just kick me out. I live here. You don't pay rent. You're not on the lease. You're a guest who stayed too long. Her face flickered through about 5 different emotions before landing on rage. You think you can just throw me out after everything I've done for you? I made you better. I fixed you. I didn't need fixing, I said quietly. Yes, you did. Your clothes were pathetic. Your friends were losers. Your family is trash. Without me, you're nothing. Then I'll be nothing, I said. But I'll be nothing in my own apartment. You've got 30 days to find a new place. She grabbed a vase I'd bought before we even met. For a second, I thought she'd throw it, but instead she set it back down slowly. This isn't over, she hissed. Yeah, it is, I told her. I went into my bedroom, locked the door, and listened to her pounding on it, screaming about how I'd regret this, how I needed her, how no one else would ever put up with me. Eventually, she wore herself out. That was 6 days ago. I honestly thought that would be the end of it. I figured I'd give her the 30-day notice, she'd move out, and that would be that. Turns out I was way too naive. When someone shows you exactly who they are, like when she said, I make the rules, you'd better believe them. And when you stop playing by those rules, you'd better be ready for a fight. Update 1. Hey everyone. Thanks for all the support on my first post. Some of you warned me things would get worse before they got better. You were right. After I told Samantha she had 30 days to move out, I figured she'd either try to win me back or start packing. Instead, she acted like nothing ever happened. The next morning, I woke up to her making a full breakfast. Eggs, bacon, pancakes, the whole works. She was humming, wearing nothing but one of my t-shirts. Morning, baby, she said cheerfully, like we hadn't just broken up. I made your favorite. Samantha, we already talked about this, I said. No, you talked, she shot back. I never agreed to anything. She set a plate in front of me and smiled. Eat up. We've got a Costco run today. We don't have anything planned, I told her. We're not together anymore. She tilted her head like I was speaking another language. Don't be silly. Couples fight. Now eat before it gets cold. I didn't touch the food. Instead, I grabbed a granola bar and headed to work. That night when I came home, she'd completely rearranged the living room. My living room. Couch, TV, everything was moved around. And there were brand new throw pillows I'd never seen in my life. What the hell did you do? I asked. I rearranged everything for better feng shui, she said proudly. The energy in here was awful. No wonder you've been so negative lately. You can't just... I started, then stopped. What was the point of arguing? Please, just don't move my stuff again. Our stuff, she corrected immediately. And I'm the one who decides what happens in our home. That night, once she was asleep, I quietly put everything back the way it was. The following day things went from bad to worse. I came home to find my entire gaming setup gone. My PC, my console, my monitors, all unplugged and shoved into the closet. Where the hell's my computer? I demanded. You spend way too much time on those games, she said calmly. It's unhealthy. I decided you needed a digital detox. You decided? That's a $3,000 setup you just tore apart. Money you could have invested in us, in our future, she said, totally unfazed. Don't worry, I didn't throw it away. You can have it back once you prove you can manage your time like an adult. I immediately started plugging everything back in. She leaned against the doorframe with a smug little smile. This is exactly why you need me. You have zero self-control. Get out of my room, I snapped. Our room, she corrected again. And I'll go wherever I please. This is my home too. That was the final straw. I installed a lock on my bedroom door. She completely lost it when she saw me drilling holes for the deadbolt. You can't lock me out. I'm your girlfriend. Ex-girlfriend, I corrected. And yes, I can lock the door in my apartment. She lunged for the drill, trying to yank it out of my hands. I pulled it back and she stumbled, barely brushed the wall, but immediately gasped like I'd shoved her across the room. Did you just assault me? She shrieked. What? No. You tried to grab the drill. You pushed me. I could call the police right now. Go ahead, I said. I'll show them the lease with only my name on it and have them remove you. She froze, clearly recalculating. For once, she backed off, but I could see her brain working overtime. By day 3, things had escalated to a whole new level. I woke up at 3 a.m. to loud banging. She was in the living room with a hammer, hanging framed photos of us, vacations, family gatherings, you name it. What the hell are you doing? It's 3 in the morning. I couldn't sleep, she said casually. I figured I'd make the place feel more like home. The neighbors are going to complain. Let them. I don't care what anyone thinks. I make the decisions here. Sure enough, building management called me the next day about noise complaints. I explained the situation, and they reminded me that as the leaseholder, I was fully responsible for my guests' behavior. That evening, I walked into my home office and caught her on my work laptop. What do you think you're doing? Fixing your resume. It's embarrassing. No wonder you're stuck in that dead-end job. That's my work laptop. You can't. Too late. She'd already sent emails to my boss. Messages saying I was looking to move on and wanted to transition out of my role. The next morning I had to do damage control, explaining to my boss that my ex had gotten into my laptop and that I wasn't planning to quit. Thankfully he was understanding, but he warned me to keep my personal drama out of the office. When I confronted Samantha, she just shrugged. You need a better job. I was helping. You could have gotten me fired. I snapped. Don't be dramatic. I know what's best for you. That was it. I had enough. I went out and had a formal eviction notice drawn up, notarized, the works. When I handed it to her, she laughed. This is adorable. You really think a piece of paper means anything? It means you've got 30 days to get out, or I'll have you removed. I'd love to see you try, she said smugly. That night, she acted like we were on a date. Cooked my favorite meal, ribeye steak. Opened a bottle of wine, lit candles, even wore the dress I'd bought her for her birthday. Can we please just talk? She asked almost sweetly, like adults. Against my better judgment, I sat down. Maybe, just maybe, we could end things on a civil note. I know I can come on strong sometimes, she began. But it's only because I love you. I see your potential. I know what you could be with the right guidance. I don't need guidance, I said. I need a partner, not a life coach. But you do need guidance, she insisted. Look at your life before me. Same job, same friends, same boring routine. I pushed you to grow. You pushed me into being who you wanted me to be. She reached for my hand across the table. I pulled back. Don't you love me? She asked softly. I did, I admitted. But love isn't about control. It's not control, she argued. It's structure, leadership. Every relationship needs a leader, and I'm just better suited for it. Why? I asked. Because I know what I want. You're indecisive. People walk all over you like you've let them do. Her expression hardened. I've never walked over you. I've elevated you. There's a difference. I want you out, Samantha. And I want $1 million and a beach house. We don't always get what we want. This isn't up for negotiation. Everything's a negotiation, she snapped. And I don't lose. She stood, started clearing plates, then suddenly hurled one against the wall. It shattered into pieces. Oops, she said flatly. Guess you'll need new dishes. Luckily, I know where to get some. I spent the next hour cleaning up shards while she lounged on the couch scrolling her phone. Each time I walked past, she'd toss out some comment. Missed a spot. You should vacuum again. Maybe if you cleaned regularly, this wouldn't be so hard. The following day, I noticed deep scratches around my bedroom door lock. Still worked, but barely. Did you try to break into my room? I asked her. She didn't even look up from her laptop. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you did it and forgot. You've been so stressed lately. That's when I secretly installed a camera in my room. 2 nights later, I caught her on video at 2 a.m. picking the lock with what looked like a bobby pin. When I showed her the footage, she didn't even flinch. I needed my earrings. You locked them in there. You don't have earrings in my room, I shot back. Yes, I do. You just didn't notice them. Samantha, that's breaking and entering. You can't break into your own home, she countered. It's not your home. Says who? I've lived here for 2 years. I get mail here. Common law says. We're not common law married. Prove it, she challenged. That's when it finally sank in. This wasn't going to end peacefully. She genuinely believed she owned not just the apartment, but me. In her mind, her rules overruled actual law. What she didn't realize was that I'd been documenting everything. Screenshots of texts where she claimed my property as hers. Notes on every time she moved my things, tampered with locks, threw dishes, even the emails to my boss. I thought I had enough for a restraining order if it came to that. I thought I was prepared. But I wasn't ready for what happened 2 days ago. I'll share that in the final update. Let's just say, when someone who thinks they make all the rules finally runs into people who actually enforce the rules, reality hits a whole lot harder. Final update. Here it is, the end of this insane ride. After catching Samantha on camera breaking into my room, I knew I needed backup. I called my brother, Caleb, and asked him to come stay for a few days. He showed up the next morning with an overnight bag. Samantha's face when she saw him was priceless. She looked like someone had just taken her crown away. "Who's this?" she demanded. "My brother," I said simply. "He's crashing here for a bit." "I wasn't consulted about house guests," she snapped. "You don't need to be consulted. This is my apartment. He's my guest." She turned to Caleb and sneered. "You can't stay here. We don't have room." Caleb just chuckled. "Nice to see you too, Samantha." Having Caleb around really helped. She couldn't pull those 3 a.m. antics anymore with someone else there to see it, but instead of calming down, she just found new ways to escalate. She switched from late-night emails to calling my job directly. Not once, not twice, actual phone calls. First, she told the receptionist she was my wife and there was some kind of family emergency. When I didn't jump to answer, she called back claiming I was having a mental breakdown and wasn't fit to be at work. That got HR's attention. They pulled me aside and asked, "Is everything okay at home?" I laid everything out for them, every crazy detail. They documented it all, blocked her number from the company phones, and did what they could to help. But honestly, the damage was already done. Now everyone at work knew about my personal mess. That night, she was furious. How dare they block me from contacting my boyfriend? Ex-boyfriend, I corrected her. And you were harassing my workplace. Her eyes narrowed. I was just concerned about you. You're clearly unraveling. Look at you, pushing away the only person who actually cares about you. Caleb cut in. He's not falling apart. He's drawing boundaries. She spun toward him like a storm. This isn't your business. You're poisoning him against me. I shook my head. No, you managed that yourself the moment you declared you were the supreme ruler of my life. I never said supreme ruler, she snapped. I said I make the rules because someone has to, and clearly you can't. Get out, Samantha. Make me. That's when she made her biggest mistake. She grabbed a kitchen knife. She wasn't pointing it at anyone, just holding it, ranting about how I'd regret this. She said I was worthless without her, that she'd given me the best years of her life, and I'd pay for throwing that away. While she raged, Caleb quietly dialed 911. You think you can just toss aside 3 years like it was nothing? She shouted, waving the knife for emphasis. I've invested too much in you to walk away now. I decide when this ends me. The cops showed up within minutes, 1 male, 1 female. They knocked, identified themselves, and I let them in. Samantha just stood there, still holding the knife, looking half confused. Ma'am, please put the knife down, the female officer said evenly. Why? Is my kitchen knife in my kitchen? Ma'am, just set it down. She finally placed it on the counter, muttering, This is ridiculous. He's throwing me out of my own home. I handed the officers my lease, showed them the eviction notice, explained the whole mess. She's not a tenant, I said. She's a guest who won't leave. I'm not a guest, she yelled. I live here. I make the rules. The male officer raised an eyebrow. Are you on the lease, ma'am? No. But you get mail here? Yes. That makes it my legal residence. He shook his head. That might establish residency but not ownership. And the leaseholder has asked you to leave. He can't do that. I decide when I leave. The female officer stepped forward. That's not how the law works. You're not on the lease. If the leaseholder says it's time to go, it's time to go. I don't care about your laws. I make the rules in this relationship. The officers exchanged a look. The male officer said slowly, Ma'am, the actual rules, the legal ones, require you to respect an eviction. You don't get to declare yourself exempt. Yes, I do. He's nothing without me. I control everything here. That's when she made her second biggest mistake. She shoved past the female officer, lunging toward me. You're going to regret this. The officer grabbed her arm. Ma'am, don't put your hands on me. Samantha jerked away, screaming, Don't touch me. I'll sue you. I'll sue everyone. Then she swung at the officer. She missed, but that was all it took. They cuffed her right there in my living room. As they let her out, she was still yelling about her rights and her rules. I'm the one who makes decisions here. Tell them. She shouted at me. I looked her straight in the eye. It doesn't work. That's why we're here. They hauled her outside, and she kept screaming that it was temporary, that she'd be back, that I couldn't survive without her. Then silence. Caleb let out a long breath. Well, he said, that was intense. Later I found out she was charged with assault on an officer, resisting arrest, and criminal threatening over the knife. She spent the night in jail. The very next morning, she somehow called me, demanding I bail her out. No, I said flatly. You have to. I'm your girlfriend. No, you're not. And no, I don't. This is your fault. If you just followed the rules. I hung up. Her sister ended up bailing her out and came by my apartment to gather Samantha's things. She looked tired, apologetic. I'm sorry about all this, she said. She's always been like this. She thinks the world should bend to her will. Why didn't anyone warn me? I asked. Would you have believed it? Love blinds people. And she's really good at acting normal in the beginning. We boxed up Samantha's clothes, toiletries, even those throw pillows she insisted on. Her sister paused at the photo Samantha had hung during one of her 3 a.m. redecorating sprees. Keep them or toss them? She asked. Toss them. As we loaded her car, her sister gave me a warning. This isn't over. She doesn't let go easily. She was right. Samantha tried everything, reaching out through mutual friends, family, fake social media accounts. But thanks to the restraining order tied to her bail, every attempt was a violation. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my job anyway. Security called the cops and she went straight back to jail. At her hearing, she represented herself. She told the judge my restraining order was invalid because I couldn't legally make decisions without her consent. Claimed she had relationship authority that trumped the law. The judge was not amused. She got 6 months for assault and repeated violations. Her sister later told me Samantha was still calling from jail, insisting she was in charge and that everyone was just misunderstanding. It's been a month now. I changed my locks properly this time, got a new phone number and started therapy. Turns out 3 years of being controlled leaves scars. But I'm finally free. I can hang out with my friends without asking for permission. Visit my family without negotiating. Play video games without someone hiding my console. Make decisions about my life without a self-appointed ruler. Last week, Marcus asked how I was holding up. Better, I told him. Turns out when someone says they make all the rules, what they really mean is they don't respect any rules. I'll date again someday. But the moment someone claims they're in charge of me, I'm done. No second chances. No excuses. Good boundaries, man, Marcus said. Yeah, I replied. Guess I can make decisions after all. So that's my story. If you're stuck in a controlling relationship with someone who thinks they're the sole decision-maker, they're not. The law doesn't care about their self-declared authority. Keep records. Reach out for help. And most importantly, get out. And when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Thanks for following along, Reddit. I'm off to enjoy making my own rules now.